Hey everyone here, welcome back to My Mama Recipes. Today we're going to tackle the perfect cinnamon scone. And listen, we're not just aiming for a good scone, we're going for that unbelievable, flaky, bakery-style scone that you can actually make right in your own kitchen. Let's get into it.
You know that exact moment I'm talking about, right? Where the top just crackles a little bit and the inside pulls apart in these soft, buttery layers, and you get that first puff of warm cinnamon steam. Oh man, that is the goal. It's more than just a recipe, it's a whole feeling, and that's exactly what we're gonna get today.
But let's be real for a second. We've all been on the other side of that, haven't we? We've all had the scone that looks pretty good but is basically a hockey puck. You know, the one that's so dense and dry you need a whole mug of coffee just to choke it down. Well, we're gonna fix that for good. Because the problem? It usually isn't your ingredients. It's all in the technique.
And here's what I can promise you. By the end of this, you'll be making scones that are incredibly tender without being all cakey, and they'll have structure without being dense. We're talking crisp edges, soft centers, and these amazing little pockets of melted cinnamon all throughout. And the best part? It's not about complicated methods. It's just about doing a few small things the right way. So let's meet our cast of characters. You've got your basics, right? The flour, the baking powder, the half and half, and egg are here to bring that wonderful richness. But the real game changers, the things that take these over the top, are the cinnamon chips for those bursts of sweetness, and that turbinado sugar for the perfect crackly top. But the absolute star of the show is cold butter. And I mean cold. Seriously, this isn't just another ingredient, it is the most critical part of this whole thing. See, when those little bits of cold butter hit that hot oven, they instantly release steam. And that steam is what physically pushes the dough apart, creating all those light, flaky layers we're obsessed with. So if you remember one thing, remember this: keep your butter cold.
Okay, so this brings us to the biggest and maybe the weirdest secret to making incredible scones. The dough is supposed to look, well, it's supposed to look wrong. If your dough looks smooth and perfect and all comes together like a bread dough, I'm sorry to say, you've already gone too far. Okay, look really closely at this. This is the make or break moment. On the left, that's what you want. It looks like coarse, crumbly sand, and you can still see little pea-sized bits of butter in there. Those are your future pockets of steam and flakiness. Now, look at the right. That's a smooth paste. The butter's all melted in. That right there, that is a one-way ticket to tough, dense scones. So when you're mixing everything together, and that little voice in your head says, this looks kind of dry, it looks unfinished, I want you to stop right there. That's it. That is the sweet spot. The dough should just barely hold together when you give it a squeeze. You have to trust the crumbly. It's the sign that you're doing it perfectly.
All right, you've mastered the dough. Fantastic. Now let's talk about the next critical step, the last thing you do before they hit the oven. How you cut your scones makes a huge difference in how high they're going to rise. I want you to actually close your eyes and imagine this for a second. Forget sawing back and forth with a knife. Instead, think about the sound of one single, sharp, decisive cut. Just a clean thump as the blade goes straight down through the dough and hits your cutting board. That's the sound we're going for. And here's why that sound, that clean cut, matters so much. When you press straight down, you leave the edges of the dough open. That allows all that steam we worked so hard to create to push the scone straight up. But if you saw back and forth, you're basically smearing the butter and sealing those edges shut, trapping all the layers and stopping that beautiful rise in its tracks. So let's put it all together. It's simple, really. You whisk your dry ingredients, you cut in that very cold butter until you've got those coarse crumbs, then you gently mix in the wet stuff until it's just combined. And here's a big one. You press and shape the dough. You do not knead it. Cut your clean wedges and bake them till they're beautiful and golden.
Now, this is probably the number one question I get about scones. Jack, I followed the recipe, but my scones came out flat. What did I do wrong? It's super frustrating, I get it. But the answer, almost every single time, comes down to a couple of the key things we just talked about.
And here are the usual suspects. Number one, your butter got too warm. It melted into the flour instead of staying in little pieces. Number two, the dough got overworked. Too much mixing develops that gluten and you get tough scones instead of flaky ones. And number three, you sawed at the dough instead of making those clean cuts. See? It all comes back to those key principles, every time.
But hey, when you get those little details right, when you keep that butter ice cold, when you barely touch the dough, and when you cut it cleanly, this is what happens. This is the payoff.
And let me tell you, the absolute best way to enjoy these is about 5 minutes after they come out of the oven. They're still warm, so the cinnamon chips are all gooey, and the whole kitchen smells incredible. Pair one with a good, strong cup of coffee, and yeah, that's pretty much a perfect morning.
And at the end of the day, that's what this is really all about. It's not about being a perfect baker. It's just about making something warm and delicious that makes your kitchen feel like a home. I really hope you give these a try. Thanks so much for joining me today. Now let's get cooking.